So we are in Matt Smith's Model Y Hardware 3 on 12.5, and we are set to average on the FSD profile and a fixed offset of 16%, which is my personal favorite. And we're going to try 3 different cars on 12.5 and just see if we experience any kind of differences, how smooth it feels to us. Let me get it going there. We're going to do Hardware 3 Model Y.
Are you dead naming it? Should we call it AI3?
AI3, okay, AI3. And we're going to do AI4 on a Model Y, and then AI4 on a Model X. And just curious what differences we experienced. This person's going to want to park, but they're bailing.
They're confused.
So they're like, I'm not going to bother this guy trying to parallel park. Okay.
So maybe a little bit of background might be helpful too. So
yes.
I drove down to Carmel, Indiana earlier today with Jordan, who's in the car, and we frankly had a bad experience. So we have 12.5, but we all know the hardware stack is not great, and we had a couple issues on the highway, but even kind of beyond the highway, some of the turning just was not quite as smooth as I had seen on my initial 2 or 3 drives on 12.5 with my Hardware 3 vehicle. So Bradford was saying how he seemed to have noticed a difference between 12.5 on his Model X, which is Hardware 4, and versus 12.5 on a Hardware 3 vehicle.
Hardware 3 Model Y.
Hardware 3 Model Y. I thought he was a little bit nuts, but actually after driving the Model X, which has the Hardware 4, it actually seemed pretty clear that this was actually a lot better than what my Model Y had. Then we drove my Model Y back to the hotel that we're staying in tonight, and it actually seemed really smooth. So we're honestly just trying to figure out what's going on here.
And so we will measure it scientifically, like the G-forces with an accelerometer, but there's 4 of us in the car. I want us to all pay attention to how it drives, you know, how much braking it's doing, when it's choosing to brake. We do have a car in front of us.
But just as a human being, I would say like the way that slowed down was slightly aggressive. At least it seemed compared to the way that your Model X handled it earlier today. It wasn't uncomfortable by any stretch, but it was not very smooth like a chauffeur. I felt like when I was in your Model X, it just felt like a chauffeur where every acceleration and deceleration was extremely gradual.
So I know we're being very nerdy about this, but we're curious, how's the ride experience different? And we have Spencer here with us again with his Hardware 4 Model Y. Go ahead and say hi, Spencer.
Hey everybody. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. The turning on this car so far in the first roundabout was pretty jerky, so I'm interested to see if my car performs the same or better.
That roundabout we just went through is one of the smallest ones in Carmel, Indiana. So it did have a hesitation that was a bit unusual.
But even on the first one, like I was watching the steering wheel and it looked pretty jerky.
Yeah,
I did not notice that before, but yeah, I would agree with you, Spencer.
Oh gosh.
Oh, and there's an intervention.
That was pretty jerky.
Yep.
That was me intervening. It should not have gone then. I'm going to re-engage here.
Yeah.
But I will say, even leading into that event, like it was a little bit jerky and a little bit awkward, just with some of the wheel turns and the deceleration, the braking, in the last roundabout leading into this current roundabout where you had to intervene. So, like, we never had anything close to that in your Model X today.
Yeah.
So to have that series of events is just like kind of eye-opening, to be honest.
So you're going to be getting a Hardware 4 car soon, Matt? What's going on?
I'll take the Hardware 3.
Kind of a little negative here. Well, yeah, it does look jerky to me. Yeah, so we just want to see how it goes, and we had some cars in front of us. Maybe we need to do this twice with your car to give it another chance, but it does seem a bit different.
this was not what I was expecting at all. To be perfectly clear, I mean, with all the analysis we do, we want to be honest and kind of transparent about the issues. Like getting around that pedestrian right there, those two pedestrians, that was great. That was perfectly smooth and no issues. But like the couple issues we had back there on those other roundabouts were not good at all. We even had an issue earlier this morning when we were on our way, and this was on the news tag because it was City Street driving that highway, where it turned out onto a busy road, and it frankly should not have. It wasn't dangerous per se. It was just like we were kind of cutting someone off, and we should have just waited for them. So that kind of decision making was not ideal. And every time we were driving near Model X that has the AI4 hardware, we never had any of those issues. So I'm honestly surprised, because I thought just driving my own car on a day-to-day basis, which is my normal experience, I very clearly saw a significant increase in capability when we went from 12.4 to 12.5. But seeing my 12.5 versus the 12.5 in your Model X, like it was actually a lot different experience.
Yeah, and I would agree with that, especially like as soon as you downloaded 12.5, right? We took it out on the streets, and it immediately felt smoother the first time we did it compared to like your baseline 12.4. So it was definitely better for the hardware 3 or AI3 or whatever we're calling it.
So now we're turning around and heading back. We're not quite going back the same exact way, but we are going through that busy roundabout where I had the disengagement.
Let's see how it does.
So Bradford, this is something you have been talking about that I frankly thought you were like seeing ghosts in the machine. Like, but you were talking about your Model Y versus your Model X and the difference in performance. So like, what have you seen before? We'll do these next couple tests, obviously, but what did you see that even prompted you to have this question in your mind?
So I don't, and I'm really curious to try Spencer's Model Y. Literally in the Model X, it feathers the acceleration and the deceleration just by letting off the accelerator. It feathers that better than I can.
Yeah.
I cannot do it more smoothly than the system can, and that just really blew me away. And it's just kind of delightful to ride in that. And I just was not seeing that on 12.4 with the hardware 3, and so I got the update with my AI3 Model Y, and I just wanted to do a test where we measure it, 12.4 versus 12.5 to see like how much smoother 12.5 is. But unfortunately it auto updated, so it's great you came down here so we could test that. But I guess we won't get to test 12.4 anymore, but I think we're seeing some differences. It seems like every roundabout there's a slight like hesitation or adjustment it's making.
Yeah.
Where seems to be in a majority, where it's on hardware 4, it's like 90% plus. It's a smooth turn.
Yeah.
With the hardware 4 Model X, and that may be a difference in. It's possible it's the difference between AI4 and AI3. It could be a difference in the control system. I don't think it's a difference in the. It shouldn't be going here.
Even that was a weird decision. Like
it should not be going there. And I wish we had a camera pointed to the left.
Like, it honestly would have been fine if it had made that decision like half a second earlier.
Yeah.
And the thing I've noticed with the Model X is, like, it will make a similar decision, but it will do so
way too fast.
Much more naturally. Whoa!
We have these weird sidewalks.
What's going on?
Yeah, like hardware 3 does that, where it just. We have these
it's
sidewalks
because it also slows down for a lot of those. Like that's so.
Bonkers,
like I'm honestly surprised.
Yeah,
I'm honestly like
this is eye-opening.
this is really weird.
Well, it has to slow down for this because it's a roundabout.
Yeah, but like that was perfect. No notes on that one, but
Yeah, that was good. That was smooth.
one thing I was saying to you on our other drive, which we didn't film Bradford, was like in a similar situation like that one where you intervened to hit the brakes. The Model X was like starting to move just at the right moment, but it was starting to move basically when the other car was still in front of us, but it was going so slowly, it was feathering the acceleration, so that it was very clear that like I see you, I'm starting to move, so that it's clear that I'm going to make this move, but I'm like giving that feedback to the passengers in the car that we are going to start moving as soon as this gap right here, this particular gap goes. What we saw in that last situation where you intervened was that's a gap that looks like it's reasonable that you could go for it if you go, and we didn't know if it was going to go for it, and then it decided to go for it, and it was like it's like mildly uncomfortable. Yeah, and a little too late.
And it went fast.
It went fast. If it had started creeping out slightly earlier and then like committed to the turn, it would have been completely fine. But it waited half a beat too long, and I have not seen your Model X do that same thing.
So I want to be clear on the disengagement. So the first one was safety critical. We would have put the other cars in having to swerve like immediately. That second one was, I would call critical. It was a bad move in my judgment, but it was critical, but I wouldn't call that safety critical. So we are done with this little loop. We started right around the corner there. We're about to hop in Spencer's Hardware 4 Model Y and see how it goes.
I've got to say, just quick summary notes. I don't know what you guys think. I was actually shocked at the performance of this. I've been driving this for 2-3 days now. That was the worst performance I've seen.
I mean, Bradford and I traveled these roundabouts every day, and I've never seen a safety critical intervention with my Hardware 4 or AI4, so
All right.
Surprising.
AI3, we'll see. So we got, we're in Spencer's AI4 Model Y, and we have it set to average, and we also have it set to 16% offset. We have our destination set in, and once it reroutes to go down Rangeline Road, we will get it going. Just making sure it's going to do that all the way. Okay, here we go. We were a bit shocked, but we've taken a little breath. Let's see how it goes. So it's approaching this a little slower, 22.
What are you expecting this time, Bradford?
I'm hoping a little more smoothness. So I'm hoping like the Model Y isn't totally hosed on like how smooth it is compared to the X. So I'm fairly hopeful here. We'll see if it disappoints or not. We did have a car in front of us for a chunk of this last time, but so far it seems smoother, less jerky.
Yeah.
We want to slow down here.
Ooh. Okay, we did not.
I think part of the smoothness though is definitely the Model X versus the Model Y. Like even in that first roundabout we went in through, it was definitely more smooth and like slow, but it like just the suspension, you can actually feel the difference between the two.
This suspension is better than, I think it's better than the suspension you have.
I think you're right, but it's not like the Model X.
Yeah.
And so a lot of the smoothness that I think we were feeling earlier today when we didn't record was just like, oh my gosh, like we're like floating around and this magic chauffeur is like navigating us perfectly. And part of that is just how good the suspension on the Model X is. But I think what we're curious about is how much of that is suspension, how much of that is just any difference that might be there in either the software or the hardware.
So what I'm looking through, and I'm not sure the exact number of roundabouts, but how many times it kind of has a head fake in the middle of the roundabout. I expect that in maybe 1 in 10, so we'll see how it does.
The first one was perfect.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah, I mean, the steering wheel is not doing the weird jerky thing.
We need to go.
That was good.
Okay, we're rolling.
Could have been slightly better, but it wasn't bad by any stretch.
That was much better. Yeah, there was no glitching out with the wheel on that one. That was good. It was not sus.
It's making these lane changes.
Yeah, I'm not making the lane changes. The turn signals can be a little weird around roundabouts, so it didn't actually change lanes. That was really good.
I'm curious what you thought about the deceleration into that circle, because it seems slightly more aggressive than you'd want, but it was not like that. We're honestly nitpicking here.
Yeah. So a lot of this, we haven't had a car in front of us, so it's had a little more freedom on how fast it can go in between the roundabouts. Got a car turning left in front of us. Just brake very slightly for that. That's nice.
Yeah. I was going to say it should pass it because that's what the car in front did, but actually it was a solid white line, so it should not have. So I actually like the way that it handled that.
I'd go around it.
Well, yeah,
Wouldn't
you would break the rules, the laws, but you're technically not supposed to. So I kind of appreciate
Are
that.
you Tesla Q or what's going on?
Listen, I just think you should obey all the laws, right? And if you're just Elon and you flaunt the laws and you say you're going to sell all your Tesla shares, I just think if I was on the board, I'd do a better job.
Not financial advice.
Just imitations.
All right, we're going to reroute here.
I mean, that was smooth too.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is like what I'm used to with 12.5 as far as the smoothness, but I've kind of been babied by this Model X on 12.5.
Yeah.
Or AI4 12.5.
Didn't need to decelerate right there, I don't think.
Yeah, I think a chunk of just the overall smoothness here is the difference in suspension. But it's been different through the roundabouts, the turning and the acceleration, deceleration.
It feels like we're doing the route faster, but I mean, obviously the prior one had some vehicles in front of it. But it'd be interesting to time.
This one I went down to 10 miles an hour in the middle of the roundabout. Let's see what it does.
Smooth.
13, 12.
Yeah.
That was not bad.
I would guess that the time of a route will be pretty different on the two AIs, with 3 being slower.
My eyes are here. All right, it's watching my eyes. My eyes need to be on the road.
I live here,
It's got
Bradford.
the camera right here. I know it's gotten a little dark. We've gone from twilight to night here. On our way back to the Palladium in Carmel. Gonna go by those 2 really busy roundabouts.
Turned on the brights nicely there.
It's slowed down going over the hill. It hasn't seen this hill before. Like, it doesn't have a memory of what this looked like when it came over. So it's like, okay, does the road go? What happens next? So it's slowed down a little bit. That's what you want.
Did it slow down too much in your
No,
mind?
I think that was the safe, right thing to do.
I would say, if anything, it slowed down a little too much. It wasn't like jarring by any stretch, but I think if we're going to nitpick, which is what we're trying to do in this, is to show the differences between 3 different vehicles, I'd say maybe could have been slightly more smooth with the way that it was slowing down for that. But really, well, that was surprisingly aggressive.
It was kind of nice though, not gonna lie. Kind of liked it.
You feeling happy?
Yeah,
So
it was fun.
It got down to 13, 12 miles an hour in that roundabout back there.
And it spilled my drink.
Oh,
It's okay, it's
Spilled
hot.
the
You'll
drink.
dry quickly.
that's not good.
I don't know. Does it know like how the driver drives? Like I'm an aggressive driver. I wonder if it like thinks it wants to drive more like me.
No, I don't think so.
No.
It has
That would be
my experience.
That would be an individual model, and I don't think it's doing that.
Yeah, because I would say Matt's a pretty aggressive driver, too.
Yeah.
Okay, good. Waited for that car. It went. Well, he was
Whoa.
coming over the line pretty good.
But it handled
Hugging
that
the
great.
inside.
That was
Yeah, the Tesla didn't panic. It knew it had plenty of room.
All right. Are we slowing down? We are.
yeah.
Oh, much better.
But was it?
Yeah, we had that car there.
But still, it braked too hard at the end of that acceleration
no,
profile.
I don't think so.
I think
Oh,
it
this is
did.
going to be a little fast. Oh, yeah. That was a little fast.
All right, Spencer and Jordan. I think that it braked a little too hard and then it accelerated a little too hard.
Yeah.
What say you in the backseat?
I'm a little nervous for...
I thought it braked good with that car coming through that small roundabout. That's my opinion.
I agree with that. 'cause
So
I think that car was going a little
So
fast.
I think one flaw is when it's coming out of an intersection or when it's pulling onto a road, for whatever reason the car is focused on getting up to speed.
Whoa, that car shouldn't have done that, right?
Yeah,
no.
he turned left in a lane. He should have.
He should have went straight.
Uh,
Glad we
Jeez.
were not going
Yeah.
straight. That's good.
so I think for whatever reason the car's focused on getting up to speed when it's coming out of an intersection or pulling out. So it tends to ignore speed bumps when it's coming out of intersections.
Yeah.
It's a bit of a weakness for it.
I'm curious to see the Model X on that same patch though, because
Yeah.
we never saw anything like that today when we were driving it for a lot longer.
The rough, wild streets of Carmel, Indiana.
I got a slight jerk. I was frustrated by it. Elon owes me $5. Pain and suffering.
I'm also curious to see, because, like, with the X, right, we were doing it in the daylight,
Mhm.
and I'm not sure if that has any bearing on how it handles these speed bumps. I'm curious to get into that one.
Wow. Okay.
Oh,
No,
It could have drove in there.
No, that's a road there. That's fine.
Wait, is that really?
Oh,
Yeah,
that is
there's
a road.
cars
Oh my
parked.
gosh!
Yeah, that's
Okay,
fine.
I did not know that.
I thought it was.
No, that's fine. You go
It
around
was
there.
just like, hey, I'm a
So we
person
are at
now.
the end here, and we're gonna go try it in the Model X. Let's see how it goes.
Sounds like we're
Yeah.
going good, better, best.
We're in the Model X. We're set to average. We're set to 16%, and we'll get it to reroute to go down Rangeline Road, and we will be on our way
For science.
All right,
for
hold on.
science. Ridgeline Racer.
There it is. What speed bump?
Yeah, I know, the suspension is nice.
It's insane.
So it slowed down a second time there.
Yeah.
I wonder if Spencer's Y did that.
My car definitely did not.
That is true.
And let's see here.
That one was a little more jerky.
Staying at 15 to go over that one. So it's not using its full speed. We went over at 30 miles an hour before. It was 24.
Huh.
Even with Spencer's Hardware 4 Model Y. It's only going 24 right now. I'm going to do something weird. I'm going to intervene and speed us up to 34. I don't know why it's doing this. And just, I'm off now. So see if it slows down for this one. It does. It's going 23. So it's slowing down for these.
Yeah. It's saying you should have even sped up because I'm handling it.
Yeah, come on. So Spencer, did it go over that at 30 or 34 in yours?
Yeah, it was full speed, I thought, or
Okay.
close to it.
So slowing way down to 11 for this one.
That was really, like, I honestly think the previous Model Ys that we drove would have stopped for that car that was clearly turning, but I think the Model X was so clear that it was like turning that way so we can go forward. I think the Model Ys were just more hesitant when something like that was happening.
That was really nice.
Like it just feels like it just rolled through.
That was perfect. Whoa.
Sped up to 22, hitting that one. Now we're at
Okay.
speed for the little roundabout. Let's see
So
how
it's
it
doing the
does.
same lane change as my
Yeah.
car.
Yeah.
That's interesting. And it's doing the same
Signal.
Yeah.
So but it's slowing down much more. It waited for that car to clear. So like, given that situation, I don't think I could drive it smoother. You know what might be fun is if I drive before time, if we could do a quick one, but maybe this is, you know, the total time. Like how Bradford does.
Oh, Bradford sucks.
Versus, okay, that was good to go when we went.
Yep.
That was nice.
And this is different behavior than the Y coming out of this.
Slower, right? No, we're at 34.
Yeah. We just didn't feel the acceleration as much. So it didn't like aggressively accelerate there. All these have been set to average
Yeah.
driver profile.
And no one was in chill mode. My car was in normal. This is in normal, right? For
Yeah.
acceleration. Yeah.
You know, what's interesting though is it did capture that speed limit sign to 40, but we're still going 37 now.
Mhm.
So it's actually going under what it technically should be going. So when the speed limit increased, it did not commensurately increase the speed that it was going. I mean, it was smooth, it was comfortable, but it's kind of interesting.
So you just kind of float through the roundabout.
Gosh, that is so nice.
Honestly.
That is so nice.
It's like sitting on a cloud.
Maybe that's why, maybe it's the Model X, but I feel like it's driving it differently.
It is.
It's not just how nice the Model X is.
That helps.
Oh, it's doing the slowdown thing again.
What suspension setting do you use in this car? Like, with this suspension, isn't there like multiple
Yeah, so it's set to like the default.
default?
I'll look at it in a sec. So we're set to sport. It's not aggressively accelerating different, and this is low comfort.
Okay.
So it's not auto. So it's set to comfort. All right. So we had a car pulling through at the same time, so maybe it slowed down a little bit for that.
It's fine now.
It's doing the same speed as the Y. Maybe the seats are different, but like that felt better than the AI4 Model Y. But maybe it took a slightly different angle.
Well, I mean, let's go back to the very first drive we did. My Hardware 3 Model Y. Jerkiness on the wheel, you know, some pretty bad indecision, and frankly some bad decision. Like, we've had none of that, and some of that's going to be a fluke, like small sampling size. But it does seem to fit with the overall driving pattern that we've seen on my Model Y today versus your Model X today, even outside the video that we're showing here. So to me, it seems pretty clear that like the Model X is a way better drive with this 12.5 software plus the suspension that it has and everything else. Like it is very noticeable. I don't know if you guys would agree, but it seems very clear to me.
What do you think, Spencer?
I think, I mean, the acceleration of my car was pretty aggressive. I don't, you know, this is where my, exiting this roundabout is where my drink spilled, so we'll see how this car does, but I think the smoothness of the cornering is the same.
Oh, that's
what?
no
AI4?
sooner do I talk about the jitteriness.
Oh, here we go with the fast acceleration.
Wow. Okay.
All of them did this the same way.
I
So
take
wait.
it all back.
Wait,
It's
AI4
consistent.
Model Y is better in roundabout, right?
Yeah.
Is that the conclusion?
Bradford's Model X sucks. That's what I took away from this.
So we did have, in that last roundabout, we did have a car approaching from the right. I don't know if it panicked about that, but we were in a bad spot to be stopping or coming to so slow. We didn't fully stop.
No.
So like if we looked at the footage again, we didn't come down to a 0. You know, maybe it got down to 4. It felt like we stopped.
It did.
It was just kind of funny. It wasn't like, oh my gosh, this is so uncomfortable or anything. It wasn't like you're trying to kill me.
It was goofy.
It would be if you were just driving normally day to day, you would have.
You tap the accelerator to tell it to go.
Yeah.
You would have done something.
But Jordan, I'm curious your thoughts because you drove a lot in my car today. That versus this. What are you thinking?
I mean, I think this still feels smoother, but I think that's mostly just because it's an X. But I do think it does have less of that like indecision with the wheel. Just like watching the, I mean, I know it's not a wheel on this car, but just
The
watching
yoke?
it. Yeah, watching the yoke on this car, it doesn't seem as twitchy as yours did going through these roundabouts. So yeah, I would agree.
So what we're gonna try and do is, it's not gonna be tonight, but soon. I'm gonna try to test my AI3 Model Y, Spencer's AI4 Model Y, and this X, and do it with no traffic. So it's gonna be the dead of the night, like 2 or 3 a.m., and see and measure it with an accelerometer. How is it different? I'm curious to find out what we see in the data. Like we'll be measuring, I don't know if it'll be every 100th of a second, but it's going to measure the G-forces that the car is experiencing. So it'll be like hard mounted to the console or here, or maybe right here, and we'll just collect that data.
So let me just suggest a final summary. If you had to
Yes.
rank these drives, you know, first one, second one, third one, it seems to me that it's 3, 2, 1 in that order. But do you guys all agree?
Yeah, I mean, I agree with that.
Bradford.
Should we do the Bradford test next or call it a night?
What's the Bradford test?
Bradford
Like,
Drive.
see if I can drive smoother than 12.5.
Bring the
Are you
horse.
smoother than a 12.5?
It's gonna be the horse and buggy test.
Can we get the Amish out here, please?
Now I'm kind of cheating because I've seen the exam 3 times.
Yeah.
You know?
You can even take a different course if you want.
What up? Thumbs up or thumbs down? Should we do it or no?
Why not?
Yeah, let's do it.
All right. Go ahead and. So I'm Bradford Ferguson with Matt Smith. We're with Rebellionaire.com, and we're about to run this again. Go ahead and cut this video. We'll start another one. All right. So I am going to cheat a little bit. We're going to set the acceleration to chill. Oh, a little
That was
fast.
too aggressive. That was actually too aggressive.
A little fast coming in that one.
Did you see those pedestrians? You almost killed that guy.
All right, Dan.
That was a school zone.
What if he had jumped out on you and laid prone in the road? What would you have done?
Stopped.
So like I just let off the brake more than it did.
Yeah, it was a little
when it's
jerky.
self-driving.
Yeah, I was thinking the same thing. Like honestly, the FSD is smoother.
You can even actually see on the headlights were kind of like bouncing on the road. And I don't think I would do this any different. Oh, wow. It was bouncy.
All right, I'm glad we're doing this test
Why?
because I'm noticing a difference.
I'm actually shocked at like,
Like I
oh man, that was not good.
yeah, I let off here.
You're going way too slow.
Oh, what is that?
come on.
19? What is that?
You suck worse than my Model Y.
I would just get roasted.
You asked for it. This is actually, like, all joking aside, it's actually pretty eye-opening. Because I've noticed this myself. Like, when I'm totally being honest with myself, I make mistakes like this. I drive uncomfortably. The G-forces are, higher than they should be one way or another. And when it's the car driving itself, we notice that and we're like, oh my gosh, like they're never going to solve this.
Mm-hmm.
But it's already like better than us on many different aspects and dimensions of the driving experience. And so it's just funny to be critiquing the different versions of the software like we just were, and then have a human comparison, which you're driving completely fine. If we were just having a normal conversation, I would not be thinking or commenting about your driving. But after the experiences we just had, I was like, oh my gosh, you were like 10% more aggressive braking than the Model X.
Like mine is not a smooth line, and I think we should.
Sounds good.
I think when I do test it again with the accelerometer, like my acceleration is, or my braking is not as smooth. Like there's and I'm feathering as much as I can with my toe, but it's like there's like a sudden braking, and then it lets off a little bit, and then there's more. Should I change lanes just to do like it did?
Yeah, you should.
Oh, this feels familiar.
Let's go to Wolfgang.
Oh, it broke a little bit there.
How do y'all feel in the back seat?
Feel fine.
Yeah.
So nothing on the left there, so that was easy.
Are you one-hand driving?
Yeah,
Okay.
I switch between hands
Okay.
on the yoke.
Like a juggler.
Ambidextrous, if you will.
Oh, I went a little too fast.
How dare you?
Although the speed limit's 40.
Now it's 40.
Oh,
Now
what was it?
it was 30.
I think your acceleration into the new speed zone was better than
Yes.
what we saw on FSD.
10 out of 10.
But it is kind of silly. Like if you just think about this planning, like, okay, you were 30, you hit 40, only to slow down like 1 second later to this roundabout. Like, it's actually kind of a dumb way to set up the speed limits.
Yeah, coming out of that roundabout, it should be 40.
And I think that's kind of why the Model X didn't fully take that 46
I think
that it
you're
could have
right.
gone.
Yeah.
Is the roundabout was coming up ahead.
Yeah. But that's something like we as humans don't do. It's like, okay, we're 0.2 miles away, so we're not going to accelerate up to 16% above the speed limit because we know we're going to have to like decelerate.
There's a raccoon.
Whoa, creepy. Look at
I
those
was
eyes.
like, oh, you're braking.
Oh, he's lucky a human was driving, right?
Maybe FSD should have splattered him.
The robots don't care.
Wasn't quite baby
So I
size.
slowed down there too. Like you were wondering why it slowed down there.
Uh-huh.
I did too. They just flashed their brights at me.
They did.
It was weird.
But your brights are not on, right?
They are not on.
Yeah, that's a little weird. It's a power move.
But what I was saying before that raccoon came out, though, is like it's actually really smart not to go from 30 to 33 up to 46, because by the time you hit 46, you need to get back down to like 22.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, actually, as much as we were kind of criticizing, like, oh, the speed limit changed, it should have accelerated. It actually probably should not have, if we're being honest about the acceleration deceleration profile.
Yeah, you're a little bit slower, Bradford. 1 mile an hour. You're
Today, Grandpa.
I'm trying to do it perfect.
We're gonna criticize you no matter what. Don't.
Is that just always blinking?
Yeah, there's a pedestrian walkway. So you, this is around 111th Street, and you can go all the way to downtown Indianapolis, essentially on that path.
Oh.
Pedestrians don't have to stop at the road, I think, but bicyclists are expected to stop and look for cars. I'll try not to stop in the middle of a roundabout.
same situation. Oncoming car.
Yeah.
You did good.
All
We're on
right,
a solid 9 miles per hour faster.
I won that one.
I think another test would be like I was talking, the route timing. Like if we could do this late at night when there's no cars,
Mm-hmm.
if we set up maybe a 10-minute route or something in
Yeah.
that range, like test all 3 vehicles to see, like, did one arrive in 9 minutes and the other one at 10 and a half and so on. Because if you extrapolate that over many miles, then one obviously performs better from getting you to your destination
Mhm.
on time.
That's a good criteria. So it's not just smoothness. Is how much time does it take?
Yep.
Could be some sampling bias in that, though, just if roads are clear, like you hit a light or something like that. Maybe not in Carmel, you're not gonna hit a light, but
we could set up a route in Carmel, and then we'd have to do it like really late at night or early in the morning.
Yeah.
So hopefully traffic wasn't a factor.
For science.
Yep.
That was 14.
broke my back.
I think it's just a kind of excessive the engineering on that crosswalk is just a bit excessive.
Yeah, I noticed. I mean, they're all kind of like the same design, but some of them are much higher than others. So it's kind of like, which ones do you slow down at? So you have to have good depth perception to see.
Yeah, like this one, you can blow right over it.
Yeah.
Totally.
Yeah, you're right. Whoa.
Changing lanes in the
Whoa.
roundabout. All right.
Violation.
I find my car changing lanes in roundabouts when it's, there's no traffic around sometimes.
Yeah, when there's no other cars around, or they're not like close to your car in the roundabout.
I think it's been doing it less on the latest version, but I mean, that's just kind of my subjective view.
So that roundabout at 111th Street and Rangeline, clearly I won that. But what do you think beyond that? Do you think the FSD is smoother than me? Or do you think I'm smoother? Or
I could feel some wheel jerk when I asked about, are you one-hand driving? Like, I could feel a little bit more than what FSD was doing.
Okay.
I feel.
I'd say like roughly comparable. I would say the very beginning of the drive, you seem to be slightly more jerky than the FSD, but then I think as you just got a little bit more kind of comfortable with it, or at the controls for a little bit longer, you seem to be able to manage comfort, the passenger comfort very well. So, but would you say you're actually like actively trying to maximize passenger comfort?
Yeah, I was trying.
And is that the way that you normally drive?
I try to do good when my family's there. When it's just me, I don't work as hard at it. But I don't like crazy whip through the roundabouts when it's just me. I do want to have it kind of be somewhat smooth for me. Yeah.
So I think that's kind of interesting because like you were actively trying to make it as comfortable as possible, and you were, I would say, comparable to the latest version of AI4 on the Model X.
It's a tie.
You beat
It's
the hardware 3, the AI3. But probably if this was just like some random, you and I were going to work and you were picking me up here and you weren't actively thinking about it, I would guess that you'd be slightly more jerky because you're just, focusing on like a conversation that you and I are having or whatever.
And I feel like the regenerative braking with the X might hit me differently. So
Yeah, that's true.
I definitely can't do it that smooth with the Y. I just can't. As far as the braking.
I think you can.
All right. It's great to see you, Matt, and glad to have you down for our annual meeting. And Jordan, good to see you. And Spencer, looking forward to more nerdy Tesla tests with you.
Definitely.
And with that, I'm going to say bye for now.